In this video, I will share why being busy is not necessarily cool, and we're going to talk about the reason why you're so busy all the time, productivity versus effectiveness, and some tools to combat busyness with actual meaning. So if you're curious about a specific part of the video, feel free to skip directly to it. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Luba and I'm a former product manager and software engineer in Silicon Valley, and on this channel I talk about entrepreneurship, tech, and my journey to a balanced and productive life. The culture of being busy was probably promoted to you since you were a kid. When I was little, I was participating in 2 Olympiads, chemistry and English. I was participating in international conferences on physics. I went to music school where I played the piano and the guitar. I sang opera. On top of that, I was a top performer at school and I prepared to go to university in Canada or the US. In a 2016 Harvard Business School review, they did a bunch of research and it turned out that Americans are usually very impressed when someone is busy. What that actually means is that how busy you are is almost correlated in our minds with how important someone is. Let's look a little more into why busy might not necessarily be as good as it seems. And honestly, I'm at big fault here as well. When I'm busy, I feel kind of good, or I felt good. I feel like I'm doing so much stuff, I'm so important, I have emails to check, I have calls to do, I have meetings to attend. I'm always on my way to achieving something and I'm doing so many things at once, it's just so impressive. And you always kind of feel behind, you always feel like there is more and more and more to do, and then at the end you sit down and you reflect, if you have time to reflect, and you're not really sure what all your efforts, what all that time actually amassed to. The reality of it is that most of the times we're just doing busy work that seems to be significant at the point of time, but in reality it's not at all bringing us closer to our actual goals. And because we're so busy all the time, we don't have time to think and have clarity about what those goals actually are. So for me, for example, for the longest time, and this is something that I'm still working on, I feel like I need to pause and I need to feel like I'm present, like I'm actually enjoying the moment and I'm enjoying what I'm doing right this moment. Whereas if your time is always filled with tasks, and action might not necessarily lead to any good outcomes because you don't have the overlooking strategy for that action, and this is something that I'm guilty of. In order to do meaningful work and to be creative, to be productive, and to have that oversight, we always need to take a step back, step away from the busyness of our day-to-day life and analyze, hey, what I'm doing, is it actually bringing me closer to my goals? And the reality is that the majority of people, they actually have no clarity on what their goals are. Because of this promotion of the busy culture, of the hustle culture, the majority of people in the US, they have no idea why they're doing what they're doing, what is the why and purpose behind their action, where is it that they even want to go. And I would say that more people should focus on that reflection, on the strategy, and on gaining clarity of what your priorities are and what your long-term vision and future is. Busyness sometimes masks other emotions and things in our lives, like being lonely, being bored, or not having that purpose and mission. So definitely take some time to clarify those first. Something interesting that I recently learned is that France is actually one of the most productive countries in the world. And that is very surprising because there's the stereotype that French people don't really care about work, all they care about is leisure and their time outside of work. But the reality is that a lot of the times while we're busy, we're not prioritizing things correctly. We're busy because we're multitasking. We lack the ability to do focused and effective work. And maybe that's why French people are productive, because in the time that they're given and the time that they know, hey, this is the time that I'm gonna do work, they actually prioritize the most strategically important thing. They know what that thing is because they have the clarity of the purpose and the why, and then they can actually focus. They are able to do deep work. And this brings me to a point of prioritization. Busy people have many priorities, while productive and effective people have few priorities. A couple of months ago, I left my job at Airbnb to pursue entrepreneurship. When I left, I was working on a bunch of different projects at once because I wanted to narrow down my focus on what is it exactly that I wanted to lean more into and what I wanted to focus on. I was, building an e-commerce site, I was working on my YouTube channel, I was working on my Eastern European engineering company, I was working on a couple of other projects that with other people. I was like so scatterbrained all the time. It made me feel good because all the time I was so busy, I had so many things to do, but the lack of prioritization and focus made me quickly realize that unless I reduce the amount of my priorities, I'm not gonna go anywhere with any of these amazing projects that I'm working on. And unless I have that focus clarity and prioritization within my own mind, no one else can help me prioritize and say like, hey Luba, go spend more time on this, because it's up to me to prioritize. And there is this important principle called the Pareto principle that says that 80% of the results that we produce actually come from 20% of the activity. If you have 3 priorities, you have priorities. If you have 25 priorities, you have a mess. And there is a great book I would like to recommend you. It's called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. It talks about the disciplined pursuit of less and how to clarify your own thinking about the priorities that you need to have in mind, and how to learn to say no to things. Saying no to things is another very important skill that would make you more successful in how you spend your time. There might be a ton of opportunities that come your way. There might be a lot of people that are asking for your help, let's say, but coming back to that higher level strategy and higher level prioritization that will allow you to say no to things that you know will not contribute to that ultimate goal and to the priorities that you have in your life. Saying no is really an art, and this is something that I was also guilty of. And as a result, I was just so overwhelmed with all the things that I committed to, and it was at a point where I couldn't back out of it anymore. I couldn't really deliver good work for the things that I said yes to because it was just extremely overwhelming. So I would urge you to learn how to say no to things that you know will not add any value to your priorities and to where you want to go in life. Busy people always talk about how they don't have enough time, whereas productive people make time for things that are important. It goes to simple things like going to the gym. You probably have a friend or two, or maybe it's you, who says, oh, I really want to start going to the gym, I really want to get more fit or lose weight, but then when it comes to actually doing, you always say that you don't have enough time for it. But the reality is that you can always carve out time for things that are important to you. You not going to the gym just means that, hey, you probably just don't give a shit about losing weight or becoming more fit, and that's the reality that you have to face and be comfortable with. I hope after watching this video you already grabbed a pen and paper or grabbed your favorite digital notebook to figure out your priorities, to maybe reduce the amount of things that you're working on, and started thinking about how to learn to say no to things and what things you're gonna say no to. And if you started doing this, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. There's gonna be a lot more content about balanced and productive life, tech and entrepreneurship, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, productive and effective day. Bye for now.